How are you? Welcome to Comic Con. Today, we're going to look at Captain America. Captain America once took crystal meth and started clucking like a chicken. I give this comic a 5-star review on Amazon. And that is the first of 100 facts about Captain America. Let's dive in. Steve Rogers debuted as Captain America in Captain America Comics #1 in 1941. This comic is worth just under $42,000. Although Steve Rogers was a weakling in his youth, he wanted to fight in World War II. When Steve applied for the army, he was rejected due to asthma, rheumatic fevers, sinusitis, chronic colds, high blood pressure, palpitations, fatigue, heart trouble, nervousness, and scarlet fever. Luckily, Rogers was accepted into the top-secret Project Rebirth, where scientists were trying to create a super soldier using the super serum. The super serum granted Rogers with increased speed, reflexes, agility, strength, and durability. His muscle mass and height increased dramatically, and he was gifted with the mind of a tactical genius. Steve Rogers received the serum with an injection and an oral compound. He was then bombarded with Vita rays. The super serum was created by a German doctor called Abraham Erskine. Although Project Rebirth was successful, a Nazi spy called Heinz Kruger murdered Erskine immediately after Rogers was turned into a super soldier. Sadly, Erskine was the only one who knew the super soldier formula. Nobody has ever been able to replicate it. The cover of the first Captain America comic shows Cap punching Adolf Hitler. This never happens in the comic itself. Although the first issue of Captain America sold extremely well, the writers received many death threats from Americans. American readers believed the comic was too harsh on Nazis. Because, you know, Nazis, what did they ever do wrong? The story was written before the US entered World War II, and Americans were not yet aware of the atrocities that Hitler was prepared to commit. Captain America wasn't originally associated with Marvel Comics. He was first seen in Marvel's predecessor, Timely Comics, over 20 years before Marvel was founded. There's an animal parody of Cap called Captain Americat. There's a pig parody of Cap called Captain Hamerica. During World War II, Captain America fell from an exploding rocket into the ocean. Because of the super serum flowing through his veins, he did not die. Instead, he was frozen in the ice and was found decades later by the Avengers. He joined the team shortly after. One of the most famous mistakes in comic book history is when Cap is fighting a villain and he says, "Only one of us is going to walk out of here on his own steam, and it won't be me." Hey, tactical genius! Okay, let's look at Captain America's weapon, his shield. The shield is geometrically perfect. This means that when he throws it, Cap knows precisely how it's going to ricochet around a room. This makes it the greatest defensive and offensive weapon on Earth, but only Cap can use the shield, for he's the only one who can hurl it and catch it without hurting himself. According to Tony Stark, 77 highly trained SHIELD agents took turns throwing it. 73 of them are in the hospital. His original shield was made of steel. Sometimes the writers erroneously say that his modern shield is also made of steel. He didn't get his iconic vibranium shield until he joined the Avengers. The alloy used to make Cap's shield was supposed to be used as tank armor. Vibranium is an almost indestructible metal that can absorb a nearly unlimited amount of force. No matter how hard it gets hit, it will absorb the vibration and not break unless it's hit with something absurdly powerful like the Hulk or Thor's hammer. The shield was created by Myron McLean. Myron was never able to replicate vibranium. When he tried, he accidentally created adamantium, the same metal that is laced in Wolverine's skeleton. The shield weighs 12 pounds. Although vibranium is automatically associated with Captain America's shield, it was first introduced in Daredevil. The shield has been broken by Thor, Thanos, Molecule Man, Doctor Doom, and Thor's uncle, the Serpent. People like the Serpent are able to destroy Cap's shield because he's a magical being, but when the shield was repaired, it was blessed with an enchantment, making it far more resistant to magic. Vibranium wasn't publicly known until the 1980s. Captain America's shield was originally triangular in shape, but it was changed to look more distinctive. He was given his triangular shield during World War II from the King of Wakanda, T'Chaka, who is the Black Panther's father. His iconic disc shield didn't appear until Captain America Comics #2 in 1941. His circular shield was given to him by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Hulk calls Captain America's shield a dish. Captain America Comics #3 was the first issue to show that Cap's shield returned to him after it hits its target. This was also the first Marvel comic that Stan Lee ever wrote. Iron Man built an electromagnet on Cap's gloves that make his shield automatically return to him. In 2016, he updated his shield so it can split in half. This allows him to shoot half of it as a projectile weapon while he protects himself with the other half. The original writers of Captain America only made 10 issues before moving to DC Comics. Although Cap can do many things, he does not know how to use a smartphone. There was a cartoon of Captain America in 1966. To date, it is the only animated series of Cap. 14 people have been Captain America at one point or another, including Falcon, Bucky, Cyclops, And for some reason, the Punisher. IGN did a poll of the greatest Avengers ever in 2012 and ranked Captain America at number 2. In 2013, IGN ranked the top 100 greatest comic book heroes ever and ranked Captain America at number 6. The Avengers were not the first team that Captain America was a part of. During World War II, he was the leader of the Invaders. The team was composed of himself, Bucky, a mutant from Atlantis called Namor, a robot called the Human Torch, who was not connected to the Fantastic Four, and a fire-manipulating mutant called Toro. Captain America went back in time and met Benjamin Franklin. Franklin loved Cap's costume so much, he sketched a flag based on it and shared it with Betty Ross to create what we now know as the American flag. This story may not be historically accurate. One what-if story showed what would happen if Captain America's serum could be duplicated. Captain America fought a man called Doughboy. He was made of dough. Many Marvel writers still need counseling because of this comic. Cap taught Iron Man basic self-defense. Films are rebooted almost every year in Hollywood nowadays, and it seems to start with a superhero film, Batman Begins. However, rebooting superheroes has been commonplace in comics for over half a century. Although many comic fans believe The Flash was the first superhero to be rebooted, it was Captain America in 1954. Although his comic appeared 13 years after Cap's first appearance, Steve Rogers hadn't aged a day. In the original comics, Cap was an instrument used to fight the Nazis. In this reboot, he was a tool against the Soviets. However, this comic sold so badly that Marvel stated that the character that appears in the story is an imposter called William Burnside who had plastic surgery to look like Steve Rogers. Nevertheless, it is still considered to be the first retelling of a superhero in comics. Cap's first love interest was Peggy Carter. Sharon Carter is Peggy's niece. She is Cap's love interest in the modern day. He proposed to Sharon Carter on their first date. When she turned him down, he was so disheartened, he quit as Captain America. Many fans hated the story as it made Cap come across as a sulky creep. Cap can run at 60 miles per hour. That's as fast as a cheetah. That's over twice as fast as Usain Bolt. He is so fast, he can dodge bullets. He usually drives a customized Harley motorcycle. Cap doesn't understand psychoanalysis since he was frozen in ice when psychology became a mainstream concept. This makes him very repressed and forces him to look at the world in black and white. Some of Cap's lesser-known enemies include Americop, Ameridroid, Dr. Faustus, Flag Smasher, Porcupine, Tumbler, Armadillo, and the Walking Stiletto. You can buy a replica of Captain America's shield for $299. A Captain America Broadway musical was considered during the 1990s. His uniform is fire-resistant and bulletproof. According to the US flag code, the flag should never be used as wearing apparel, bedding, or drapery, and no part of the flag should ever be used as a costume or athletic uniform. This means that Captain America is a criminal. You'd assume that Cap couldn't beat Wolverine in a fight, but you'd be wrong. During a fight, Cap crushed the tendons in Wolverine's forearms, making it impossible for him to use his claws. Yeah, just because Cap is patriotic does not mean he will not fight dirty. Steve Rogers was 20 when he became Captain America. If you were punched by Captain America, you would feel 9 Gs of force, which is more than an F-16 pilot feels when they pull out of a dive. Cap says that Cyclops has the personality of paste. Bit harsh. I mean, it's true, but still. Captain America officially joined the Avengers in Avengers 4, which was published in 1964. According to the 2001 poll, The Greatest Marvels of All Time, this is the 7th greatest Marvel comic ever. He can bicep curl 500 pounds and can lift 1,100 pounds. That is the weight of a liger, which is a crossbreed between a lion and a tiger. It's also the world's largest wildcat by far. And yeah, if you didn't know, ligers are totally a thing. He wears a utility belt that contains a mission-specific equipment, a first aid kit, lockpicks, antidotes, and grenades. Jerry Mikulik is a gun enthusiast who built his own Captain America shield. On his YouTube channel, Mikulik.com, the leaders in gun control, you can watch Jerry hitting targets with the shield. The shield is made of titanium, so it's strong enough to withstand gunfire. Although he might look a bit silly wearing the cap suit in the videos, he is 60 and has a mustache, Mikulik is the fastest and most efficient shooter in the entire world. He has 11 world records, 5 of which are sanctioned by the NRA. Originally, Cap wore a mask that wasn't connected to his outfit. In his second appearance, he wore a cowl that was connected to his costume, just like Batman. He did this because a Nazi nearly knocked off his mask in a fight, which would have revealed his secret identity. From time to time, Steve Rogers stopped being Captain America. When the Watergate scandal broke, Marvel wrote a story where Cap felt like he couldn't represent his country anymore and went by the name Nomad. During this time, he was nicknamed the Man Without a Country. It is also worth mentioning that before being called Nomad, he was considered calling himself Gypsy, Vagrant, Migrant, Hobo, and Bum. I can't really picture a kid buying an action figure called Bum. Also as Nomad, he wore a cape for the first time. Since he wasn't used to wearing a cape, he tripped over it while fighting supervillains. When Steve Rogers quit, he was replaced by John Walker. John Walker originally was a superhero called Super Patriot. He then became a more brutal version of Captain America, and he got a sidekick, Lemmer Hoskins, who took on the mantle of Steve Rogers' sidekick, Bucky. However, there was a problem. Lemmer was African American. Buck is a derogatory slur against black people. As a result, he changed his name to Battlestar. When Steve Rogers returned as Cap, John Walker turned into the hero US Agent. The first time Cap was shown to kill someone in the comics was when he decapitated the supervillain Baron Blood. During the fight, Cap cut Blood's head off with his shield. Cap was brainwashed by Dr. Faustus to become a Nazi sympathizer. He sported a swastika on his shield. Captain America has been able to lift Thor's hammer on several occasions. Decades ago, Cap gave a pep talk in a military camp to prepare recruits for the Vietnam War. Cap asked a recruit called Frank to punch him so he could teach him self-defense. Frank refused to hit Cap because it disrespected everything he stood for. Afterward, Frank was beaten to a pulp by the other recruits for being a wimp. Frank grew up to become the Punisher. Captain America had to fight President Ronald Reagan after he turned into a snake. This story will probably not be incorporated into the films. Although Captain America and his nemesis, the Red Skull, were born at the beginning of the 20th century, they seem much younger since they were stuck in suspended animation. However, the effects of the suspended animation eventually wore off, and they rapidly aged until they had the bodies of 80-year-old men. This led to a fight between Cap and Skull that was supposed to be epic. However, there's nothing particularly epic about two octogenarians battling to the death. It's actually pretty silly, really. The fight concluded with the Red Skull dying of old age. But that's not a big deal since he's died like 9 times in the comics. There's a film called Captain Battle Legacy War that is a ripoff of Captain America. The title character has a Captain America-like suit and wears an eye patch. That's right. He's a ripoff of Cap and Nick Fury. Can you guys at least try to hide the fact that you're ripping off Marvel? Also, Captain Battle has 2 eyes. He just wears an eye patch because who cares? A mutant with explosive powers called Nitro detonated himself near a school. This explosion caused the death of 600 people, including 60 children. This forced the government to legalize the Superhuman Registration Act, forcing every superhero to work directly for the government. Cap and many others refused to, believing it compromised everything that a superhero stood for. On top of that, it meant that superheroes had to reveal their secret identity, leaving people like Spider-Man vulnerable. Because Cap refused to take part in the act, he became a fugitive and was hunted down by his former friends, including Iron Man. Cap's partner, Sharon Carter, was brainwashed by Dr. Faustus to kill Cap. While she was under Faustus' control, she shot Cap in the heart at point-blank range. Cap was immediately rushed to the hospital. Tragically, he was dead on arrival. When Cap died, it was a tragic day for everybody. However, it was revealed soon after that Cap was not shot with an ordinary gun. He was shot with a time gun. When Cap was shot by the time gun, it gave the illusion his body was dead, while his consciousness was sent through the time stream. This was all part of the Red Skull's plan, who intended to transfer his own consciousness into Cap. When Skull succeeded in his plan, Cap's consciousness instinctively knew somebody was trying to hijack his body, and it forced Cap to regain control of himself. This means that the Red Skull had the opportunity to kill Cap, and instead saved his life. Hawkeye was considered to be the new Captain America when Steve Rogers was temporarily dead. Captain America was a werewolf once. He was called Capwolf. You know what's weirder than Captain America being a werewolf? Being a vampire. Twice. In 2 completely separate stories. Surprisingly, both these issues are actually quite good. According to Cable, Captain America is the reason why Hitler only had 1 testicle. His favorite writer is Mark Twain. He had an airbag built into his suit to avoid injuries. Why did any comic book writer think an airbag bursting out of Cap's suit in mid-fight would be met with anything except hysterical laughter? Steve Rogers' birthday is the 4th of July. That is the least surprising fact on this list. Throughout the comics, Cap has been forced to kill at least 7 people, excluding when he was brainwashed. He briefly had a shield made of light. He briefly had a girlfriend that also became his sidekick, Golden Girl. An alternative comic shows how different the world would have been if Captain America never disappeared during World War II. Despite what many people believe, Stan Lee did not create the character. Captain America was created by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. Obviously, Chris Evans plays the character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Cap is also voiced by Nicholas Hoult in an animated show, Robot Chicken.
You're going to have to go get that for me. Have you ever thought about using it? I'm not getting a fucking boomerang, so just drop it!
Holt also played Beast in the X-Men prequels. Adrian Pastor provides the voice of Cap in the 2010 animated series Black Panther. This isn't the only Marvel character Pastor played. He played Graviton in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Jonathan Frakes, who played Captain Riker in the Star Trek series, dressed up as Captain America at comic conventions for years. He is so popular in Brazil that a Brazilian publishing company retitled comics as Captain America stories, even if the stories were about the X-Men or Indiana Jones. A television serial of Captain America was released in 1944. For some reason, Cap's name was Grant Gardner instead of Steve Rogers. Also, he did not gain his powers through the super serum, and he didn't have his iconic shield. So he's not Captain America, it's just a guy wearing a costume and punching people? What's that word to describe someone who does that? Oh yeah, it's a criminal. He is a gifted artist. Cap had to dress up as an old woman to sneak his way into a concealed area. Now that sounds stupid. He wore a corset. And he brought 2 pairs of high heels in case one of them broke. Steve Rogers turned into Cap with a single dosage of the super serum. The interesting thing about this is, it's theoretically possible. A group of scientists at the Research Institute at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, create a shot that will increase muscle mass and overall strength after one single injection. The shot works by using a virus called follistatin, which shrinks a muscle-suppressing gene called myostatin. Myostatin is seen as muscle brakes, so the scientists are simply slowing down the myostatin's efficiency at braking. The procedure has been proven to be successful against primates. The scientists hope to use it on humans to counter muscular diseases. After the injection, the patient should hopefully experience an increase in muscle growth over 6 months. His nickname is Winghead. Because of the serum flowing through his veins, Cap would maintain his physique even if he lived an unhealthy lifestyle and did absolutely no exercise. Cap can run a 40-yard dash in 3.82 seconds. His original name was going to be Super American. The villainess Superia tried to turn Cap into a woman. I still don't know why. While battling a villain called Iron Nail, the super serum flowing through Cap's veins was neutralized, causing him to age rapidly to match his chronological age of 90. After his serum wore off, Rogers realized he wasn't physically capable of being a superhero anymore, so he became a mission coordinator for S.H.I.E.L.D. His partner, Sam the Falcon Wilson, became the new Captain America after Rogers' serum was neutralized. Sometimes when he was forced to battle, Rogers wore a metallic version of the Captain America suit, which was built by Iron Man. Rogers eventually regained his strength and youth when he was exposed to the Cosmic Cube, which is known as the Tesseract in the Marvel films. Marvel fans were excited to see what adventures Cap would get up to after he was revitalized by the Cosmic Cube. Cap joined Hydra and worked directly for the Red Skull. You see, the Cosmic Cube was alive, it was a girl called Kobik, and the Red Skull indoctrinated it or her with Hydra's beliefs, so Cap fell under its influence when his body was rejuvenated. Although Cap didn't join Hydra of his own free will, fans went berserk because it represented everything that Cap was against, and they were disgusted that the writers resorted to such a gimmicky idea. Although the Red Skull hoped the brainwashed Cap would become the greatest Hydra soldier ever, Rogers killed the Red Skull and made himself leader. As a Hydra agent, Cap asked the strongest superheroes like Hyperion and Captain Marvel to build an impenetrable shield around the globe to prepare for an inevitable alien attack. When the shield was completed, Cap activated it while the heroes were on the outside, meaning that they couldn't get in. With the world's most powerful superheroes trapped in space, Cap began his world empire. This was obviously all overturned at the end because comics. Cap hurls a shield at 41 miles per hour. Age of X is a comic series that takes place in a world where nearly everyone hates mutants. In this reality, Cap is the lead mutant hunter. It's his job to track and jail runaway mutants. In an alternative universe, Cap's girlfriend, Peggy Carter, became Captain America. The worst supervillain Captain America ever faced, yes, worse than Doughboy, was Asthma Monster. He is a monster that gives people asthma. And finally, for the 100 fact, in the early 90s, Captain America was revamped for the Avengers Reborn saga. This is the worst Captain America story ever. In fact, it was so bad that it killed the editor. That's not a joke. Marvel Comics editor Mark Gruenwald was one of the most influential Marvel writers for 2 decades. He was so proud to work for Marvel, but he was most proud for working on his favorite character, Captain America. He loved it so much, Gruenwald worked on the series consistently for 14 years. When it was taken away from him and transmogrified into the most mocked Captain America story of all time, he died from a heart attack that same weekend. And just in case you thought the heart attack may have been caused by something else, look at the facts. He was 43. He never smoked, and he was known as a health freak. He was given the comic on a Friday, and he died 2 days later. So there you go. Death by Captain America. Try explaining that at the funeral. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want more comic facts, check out my books. They're all available on Amazon, on paperback, and Kindle. If there's anyone else you want me to do a video about, let me know and I'll upload it as soon as possible.